Hello. So today we're going to talk about where I get my inspiration. Anyway, I thought maybe you'd be curious about that. But all artists are inspired by something or multiple somethings, and I'm no exception. So again, like I said, I thought I'd share like where I get my inspiration. So if you want to find out, keep watching. We're going to do something a little different today. I'm going to be showing you some pictures of some of my art on my iPad because I can't figure out how to record me talking and pictures from my computer screen. So we're just going to do it this way, and it may be a little awkward, but it's okay, right? It is what it is. So anyway, we're going to get going here. Much of my earlier work was inspired by things outside myself, by external sources. So like things I'd seen on a wall and wanted to replicate in fiber, or suggestions made as calls for entry for a particular fiber show that I wanted to apply to, or things like favorite hobbies or interests related to the person I was creating a piece for, stuff like that. So the piece here that I'm going to show you is called, this is a tiny little piece called Light for Yvonne, which I made in response to a call for postcard-sized fiber pieces. So it's really only, it's like 4 inches by 6 inches here. And these pieces were collected and then shared with Yvonne Porcella, who started Art Quilt Associates, or SAQUA, which is an organization to which I belong, as she journeyed through her experience with ovarian cancer. And so my piece used her signature fabric, which was a black and white check, you can see there in the center, and then depicts a candle with a cross to symbolize her devotion to God. Yvonne was also my cousin. She's actually my mom's generation. She was a first cousin to my mother, and so my first cousin once removed, I think. Anyway, but so making this piece and donating it as another way to express my commitment and love for her was inspiration enough. Then I also have made, I have the pictures here. See if I can get that one to turn. I also made a kite inspired by a painting I saw on a wall once. I made the Hulk for my nephew when he was a little guy. He was absolutely super fond of the Hulk, of the green guy. And then I made the Eiffel Tower for my niece when she was a little younger, when she was into all things French. So those are the sorts of things I've made that have been inspired by external sources. So like I said, like the piece for my niece, the Eiffel Tower, I thought of her. I thought of how much she loves France. I was making her a gift. It was a no-brainer to make her the Eiffel Tower, right? So then I'm inspired by things that come from memory. And so I have really strong memories of all 4 of my grandparents, even though they've been gone a really long time. We're not talking about my age, but let's just say they've been gone a while. So I created this series to honor them using their favorite color as the basis for each piece. And my paternal grandfather had a number of really fun sayings, one of which was any color's all right as long as it's red. And when I first started creating fiber work in the late 1990s, I remembered that saying and thought, man, that'd be a really fun name for an art piece. And it stuck in my head, and I actually started collecting a bunch of red fabric. But it wasn't until much more recently that I allowed my memories to inspire me to create my Any Color series. So the first one I made was for my grandpa Clark. And again, get that turning so it's going the right way. So anyway, this one was called Any Color's All Right as Long as It's Red. It was made for Basil, and it used lettered beads that are down here at the bottom, probably really hard to sort of see it. Anyway, use lettered beads as an embellishment to spell out this word he made up, and the word was Transmugly for Can Dan Bum Shamity. None of us ever knew what this word meant, and he refused to tell us, so most of us just decided it was this really elaborate cuss word, which we found kind of entertaining anyway to think of it in those terms. So then I used green for Lucille. Can I get that going? Use green for Lucille. She was my maternal grandmother. And I attached clip-on earrings via thread to getting messages up here. Attached clip-on earrings via thread to embellish her memory piece because she wore earrings absolutely everywhere. And you can see them, like there's some there's some right there if I move my finger. She wore earrings absolutely everywhere, including while kneeling at the side of her Airstream trailer, hooking it up to all the various campground hookups. So we, as kids, we were very entertained by the fact that here's our grandmother wearing her fancy little earrings as she knelt by the side of her motorhome to hook up the sewer. So we were easily entertained as kids, I think. So then purple was Neska's favorite color. Is this turning? Yeah. And she was my paternal grandmother. And she delivered these really soft kisses, like pillow soft, to your cheek at every visit. And she just embodied love. And so her piece includes, there's some lip prints in here, and there's some heart pendants that, where are they? There's one around here somewhere. I don't know where they went. Oh, there's one. There's one right there. Anyway. Heart pendants, and there's also a couple of bees on here because my grandpa called her his honey girl. And then finally, I made blue for Gene. And Gene was my maternal grandfather, and he passed away when I was 10. And he was a volunteer fireman. He ran a cold storage. He gave me a Jolly Green Giant doll, and he loved to fish for abalone. So I added his fireman's badge, which is up here. There's a picture of each of them on each one of these pieces. And then I stitched on little round bits to represent an abalone shell. And then I created a tiny green giant as part of his piece. So those are pieces that I've created from memory. Then I have my most recent work, which is the work I've been creating for the last 3 years. All of that has been inspired by my intuition. And the reason I say that this work is inspired from my intuition is because I'm an empath, and so I feel a lot, and I like a lot, and that's why I create Feelings Out of Fiber. Everyone's got feelings, and it's one of the ways that we are all alike. It's one of the things that connects us as humans. And so when I'm ready to create a new feeling, I close my eyes, I center myself, and I ask my higher self, or my intuition, what feeling is up next in my rotation, right? And I always get an answer. And then I always get an image that includes the color choices, it includes some shape arrangement, and it's got the overall outline shape of the piece. And it's not always super clear, but it's enough to really get me going so I know what it is that I'm going to make. And then as I work on making the invisible visible, I feel the feeling. And often I will discover that the feeling that I'm working on is also being felt by a really large segment of the population at the same time. And I know this from information in my social media feed or through headlines from various news sources or messages from friends, which all just goes to confirm I'm making the right feeling at the right time. So I allow my intuition to guide my work. And if I feel a little stuck, I'll step back and I'll take a little break. And this gives my intuition space to channel more detail about what the feeling actually looks like. And then I go back to work to create it. So for example, I recently made Isolated, get that to turn, and which was a feeling felt around the world as we settled into lockdown for the pandemic. So in closing, my work is inspired by many, many things, as I think many artists are inspired by many, many things. So I don't think I'm alone in that. And sometimes, for me, there's an underlying social message, but most of the time, for most of my work, my inspiration comes from the voice that lives deep inside my heart. And if that happens to connect to a social message or a political statement or whatnot, then that's just like bonus, right? Because it's always something that I create based on what I'm driven to create. I'm created by what I'm called to make. So, and my purpose is to make the invisible visible and the intangible tangible. And I do this primarily by creating Feelings Out of Fiber. So, if you're wondering where you might get inspired, just know that inspiration is everywhere as long as you remain open to receive it. So that's what I've got today. I hope you appreciated sort of the iPad photo show. It was a little interesting and fun to do. And maybe I'll get better at it. Maybe I won't. Don't know. Doesn't matter. I'm going to still do it anyway. But that's it. That's to this week's video. If you're ready for a private virtual showing of my art, where I promise you I'll do it a little more smoothly than that, you can drop me a note below and we'll schedule an appointment. If you're ready to discuss commissioning me to make you a textured fiber painting that's specific to you or someone you love, drop a note below and just mention that you're interested in talking about a commission. And we can get something on the calendar to explore what that could look like and how we might be able to work together to get that piece made for you. And then finally, if you liked what you heard and saw today, please share this with somebody that you know, someone you know, that one person you know would love it too. So that's it for this week. That's it for this video. And I will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.